There's this wonderful scene in the movie The Wizard of Oz, right? When the Cowardly Lion is trying to build up his courage to do something really important for Dorothy. I'm sure you all remember the scene. And this is the king of the jungle, right? And he's afraid of his own tail. And you know that tail that walks around behind him or kind of flops around behind him the entire movie? Well, I was trying to summon some of that courage myself when I was standing outside my mother's hospital room door. My sister had called us all earlier that day and said, it's time to come. When the doctors told us that the kindest thing we could do for my mother was to let her go, we ended up spending that next week sitting in 2s and 3s and sometimes all 4 of us in a room with her together. If you were really clever, you could get up really early in the morning or stay really late at night and have her all to yourself. Turns out that there would be no fairy godmother with a magic wand that week. There would be no bucket of water to melt her sickness away. The flying monkeys had been let loose. The hourglass was ticking. And it turns out that the cure for her cancer earlier in her life would be what took her in the end. But you know, it wasn't all sad and horrible, maybe as I'm making it sound right now. There are actually some happy, kind of funny moments. When they moved my mother from the hospital to the nursing home where she would get hospice care for the last few days of her life, we all went to the nursing home to meet her to make sure she got settled in okay. And when the ambulance showed up, they wheeled her out on a gurney and she was sitting up, completely lucid and happy and smiling at all of us. And she seemed so thrilled to see us all there. She wasn't sure why we were there, but it was wonderful to see us, as if she had awoken from a strange and wonderful dream. There was the night I sat with her by myself and I reflected about who this person was. So my dad had died years before, and after that, my mother had this very cool, calm, collected exterior to her. But as an adult looking back, I thought, she was probably more like the Wizard of Oz. When he's standing behind the curtain, he's working all those levers and he's screaming aloud, voice and there's smoke everywhere, and he's just trying to convince everyone, and himself too, that he's got everything under control. Well, my mom was 40 when she became a widow. She had 4 kids, a cancer patient, but somehow she kept her shit together. I don't know how, but she did. There would be her last night, too, when my sister and I sat in her room in these very uncomfortable chairs, listening to her ragged breathing, and wishing the only thing we had to worry about was lions and tigers and bears. But you know what? There was also a rainbow. There was a effing rainbow. We were all gathered at our family's favorite beach throwing flowers into the ocean, and this rainbow appeared in this very stormy sky, as if my mom was telling us something, and we were all just trying to accept the unacceptable. But I didn't know any of that as I stood outside her hospital room door. When my sister had called, I had tidied up loose ends at work and at home. I'd packed a bag and driven 5.5 hours to get there. But would I have the courage to walk across that threshold into her room? Understanding that when I did, everything would suddenly become very black and white, and there would be no undoing the knowing. It turns out I am, and I will always be my mother's daughter. So I clicked my heels and I walked into her room.